Welcome back to Vault Hunters. Today, I am finally going to unlock Create and start building some basic farms. I've been saving up a bunch of knowledge essence and other materials, and I should have at least enough to make 6 knowledge stars. I already have 1 knowledge star, so I should only need to make 5 more, and then I can unlock Create. Chomp those down, and unlock the mod. Most of the recipes in the mod are modified, so they're going to take items from the vault. So I will need to be a little bit more intentional with which contraptions I want to build. To try to minimize overspending on materials, I'm going to mix most of the farms with redstone and things from Create. These crops up in the top left can all be done in vanilla by themselves, but I want to do them in Create, so I'm going to do that. These are going to be in the same farm as these crops. These ones cannot be done fully automated in just vanilla. And the ones on the bottom row all need something within Create to make them fully automatic. And when I say fully automatic, I mean there is no player interaction. So you don't have to stand there. You don't have to place blocks or crops or do any of that nonsense. And because I'm working inside these spawn chunks, anytime that I am in the overworld, these will be loaded and the farms are going to run themselves. To build the crop tower, I'm going to need a water wheel, a mechanical bearing, a few mechanical harvesters, a portable storage interface, and a chute. This should be all the materials that I need to build the farm. Start with the water wheel down there, and then we send some water directly into it. And put the mechanical bearing right on top and rotate that with the wrench. We cover all 4 of these corners. I'll put a stair into each one of these holes right next to the bearing, but one of them I'm going to put a slab so I can turn it on and off. And then waterlog the stairs. Place blocks all the way to the edge of the dirt, and then mechanical harvesters on the front, and a portable storage interface on the outside. And we'll need another one facing that the opposite way. And then we'll put a chest at the bottom and a chute leading into that. We can then come over with the super glue. We'll do this first little section first, click that one again, and then add the portable storage interface at the end. Make sure that you select exactly what you want super glued, otherwise it can pull other blocks apart and mess up the contraption. The last piece, we need to attach a chest to the backside. Alright, this farm works pretty well, but I don't think it's enough for me. I'm going to have to build it up a couple more layers. But to do that, I'm going to go ahead and just build up 2 blocks here, pull it out, and then I will put another layer of dirt in between these and build another farm there. And there it is. I got 6 layers going for carrots, potatoes, wheat, beets, sweet berries, and netherwort. I think I want to eventually build out a bunch of different towers in a row here, and they can kind of be like reactors in a big factory. And then I can have towers for each individual crop so I can have tons and tons of material. Right now, I don't need that much because the altar is only in the mid-20s or so. But eventually, it's going to get really high, and I'm going to need a ton of stuff to create crystals. I am going to work on the cocoa beans next. I don't think it should be too complicated to come up with a farm for this, but I haven't ever tried before, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, that's actually really simple. Pretty much the same thing, water wheel on the bottom. We got a mechanical bearing with a couple of harvesters on it, and then we can surround it with jungle logs with cocoa beans on them. This was a super simple design to put together. It's easily expandable, and it'll get me enough cocoa beans for pretty much whatever I need. Using this little water wheel system is definitely saving me a lot of materials, because some of the other methods like the windmill bearing take things like pogs and black chromatic steel, where the water wheel is just a little bit of chromatic steel and driftwood. I think glowberries will be a pretty simple farm to make, so I'm going to do that one next. Okay, this one's pretty simple too. We got an observer checking whenever the berries get plucked. That'll send a pulse to the dispenser, which gives it some more bone meal, and then the deployer is powered by another water wheel in the back, which plucks the berries. I don't think I can say this one is completely fully automatic. It does need a source of bone meal, so I'll probably end up doing that at some point. I'm not totally sure if it'll be one big source of bone meal for everything, or if I have a single module above this that gives it its own bone meal. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'll do that later on. I'll probably need to unlock some other mod for it. I'll figure it out. Okay, now I'm getting into the really complicated stuff. So I needed to place the fungus, and then I need the observer to tell the dispenser to turn on, At which point the saw is going to cut through the bottom log and drop the tree to the side. Now I just need to figure out how to make the observer turn on the dispenser and how to make sure it turns off when the tree is cut down. I think I might be overcomplicating this. I think I'll just go with a manual toggle on an observer clock. Okay, if I put the dispenser over on this side, I can have an on-off switch with the observer clock back here. But I don't think that the saw is fast enough to make sure that the Nylium doesn't turn into netherrack. What I really need is a speed controller. The rotation speed controller is a pretty expensive recipe, so I'm going to have to spend a pog if I want to do that. I think this is going to be a pretty decent setup. I got the rotation speed controller hooked up to 2 water wheels, produce enough stress units to come to the deployer and the saw. If I just flip on the observer clock and hand the deployer a mushroom, it'll grow the tree really quick, chop it down, and that should be fast enough to prevent the Nylium from converting to netherrack. So the trees seem to be falling pretty reliably in the shape that they were grown. So I should just be able to build a water collection system that brings all the blocks back towards the contraption. And then I can run the warped wort through a composter and send all the bone meal back into the dispenser. I've added the water collection system to bring the items back towards the machine, and it'll bring them up a water elevator and up into the item filters. Now I need to add a basic mushroom farm to supply the deployer. Okay, it's not pretty, but it's working. So now we'll get a whole bunch of this stuff and mushrooms coming through here. The mushrooms will be taken out and sent directly down into the hand here. And the rest of the material will be sent through the composter into the dispenser. Alright, this has been quite the project, just this one farm. It's taken me a few hours to put together, but all the pieces are working as I intended, so I'm pretty happy with it. And it works perfectly for regular mushrooms, so I'm going to cross those off the list as well. Okay, the last crop I have left to make a farm for is chorus fruit, and I've spent some time in creative doing it, and no luck. It's really hard. I'm really trying to figure it out, but making it completely automatic is pretty difficult. So I need to spend a bit of time over in creative, do some tinkering, and try to figure it out. With that said, I think that's going to be all the time we have for today's episode. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.